Hi, Libra. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for December of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco, California.
Hey, Libra, this month's skies mostly affects your neighborhood happenings, your communications, and your home life. This might make you want a natal and transit reading, which is a very general reading in which you can ask any kind of questions that you want to. You'll find a link to help you get it in the text that comes with this video. Well, Juno is in Pisces all month, right here with this cluster of planets right here in Pisces. She is finished with her retrograde span for the year, so final resolution should be on the way, if not already happening in your relationships. And if you've had any relationship upsets this year since July, just know that they are over and everything can settle back down again into a new pattern. And so especially this will apply to your work life because Juno sits here in the house of work, health, and service for you. Ceres is traveling along through Virgo, which is your 12th house. Wherever Ceres goes, we want to bring good stewardship, but that's a little bit hard to do in the 12th house because Ceres is all about the physical, the grounded, the actual and real, and it's in Virgo, which is also a very grounded earth sign. But the 12th house is a place that kind of like dissolves and makes vague and indistinct everything that enters into there. So because this is a house of spirit, a really great way to spend Ceres transit through this house is to engage with nature in a spiritual way. So take that walk in the woods and feel that connection to all living beings. That's a really great thing to do while Ceres is passing through your 12th house. And also, you might have to put in an extra effort to keep your financial shit together because this is a house of dissolving. Fortunately, Ceres is going to move out of this house pretty soon. And by December 18th, Ceres is going to enter Libra, which is your first house. In other words, the house of your very self. When Ceres enters this house, it's really time to express some good stewardship regarding your physical self, to take some really good care of your own physical body, and not just for the sake of beautification, but for the sake of health and good, healthy habits. So, you know, if you wanted to buy those new shoes that look really, really great, try them on, take a walk in them around the store, and make sure that they're also going to be comfortable. Jupiter starts the month in Pisces and direct, moving swiftly along this sign, finishing out this sign and getting ready to move into Aries. I spoke about Jupiter in Pisces in your 6th house last month, so I won't belabor that. But as Jupiter moves into your 7th house here in Aries on December 20th, and is speeding up, this is returning to the luck from earlier in this year in the realm of relationships. Jupiter is a planet of luck, growth, inspiration, and enthusiasm, and wherever Jupiter travels, he usually spends a year, which might be divided up into a couple of months-long blocks, but wherever he goes, he brings that characteristic enthusiasm and confidence. So Jupiter in the 7th house as a relationship luck year is a really great time for dating if you're single and looking, or a really great time for effecting a renaissance in your relationship of duration. So have adventures with your partner as Jupiter moves into Aries, and it's going to be traveling through this house really quickly over the next few months. Hey, Julia, I know you've got news about Mars, Venus, and Mercury. What's that good stuff?
Well, yes, I do. Hey there, Libra. Now, if you've been watching our videos, then you will know that Mars has been retrograde, and Mars is going to be continuing to be retrograde for a little while longer, a few more months. Now, this whole cycle is taking place in your ninth house, the house of education, travel, legal affairs. Now, Mars is a planet of action and activity, and anytime a planet goes retrograde, and with Mars it happens once every 2 years, it's a time of sort of going back over what that planet represents. So with Mars, it's a time of redoing things. To do is a very Mars type of concept, and Mars retrograde means you're going to have to be redoing. So in the ninth house, there might be, if you're in school right now, you might find that you have to be redoing some of your projects, maybe some of your writing. Maybe if you've chosen one career track, you might have to go back over that. It can also be a particularly frustrating time if you're involved in any legal affairs. And if you're traveling over the holidays right now, a pleasure trip might have way too much come up for you to really find it that pleasurable, because Mars retrogrades can bring a lot of frustrations, and tempers can flare up as well. Now, on December 7th, Mars opposes the Sun, and we call that maximum frustration day. So that can be a time where you might really feel these issues that I just talked about. Now, on a lighter note, Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and relationships, also the planet that rules Libra, so it's a very important planet for you. She starts the month in your third house. This is a house of communication. This is a house also that rules your siblings, your neighborhood, your community, your town. It also represents short journeys too. So if you do have a choice this month between going on a little trip, like maybe a beach trip, or going to the park, or visiting family in town, over an international trip, which is represented by the ninth house, I would definitely go for the shorter trip with Venus in this house. This is a wonderful transit for getting along well with your neighbors, feeling very neighborly. And if you have brothers, sisters, and cousins, it's also a good time with them as well. And Venus in the third house can be a wonderful time for you to use your words more diplomatically. Venus brings peace wherever she goes, and the third house is that house of communication. Then on December 9th, Venus goes into your fourth house. It represents your physical home. It represents your family. So I think this is a great transit to have around the holidays, whether you're celebrating Christmas or Kwanzaa or Hanukkah, because Venus in the fourth house just brings a lot of that sort of warm, affectionate, peaceful feelings into the family sphere. Or if you're away from family and you're just having like a little friend holiday, it could be a great time to invite over friends to the house to celebrate and be festive. Venus in the Venus in the fourth is also a very nice time to do things to beautify your home. Maybe you'll receive some gifts like paintings or furniture or other types of things that can make your house more pretty and more pleasurable. And then finally, I want to talk about Mercury, the planet that represents communication. It also represents your mind. And Mercury, like Venus, starts off the month in your third house. So the first week of the month, there's a lot of third house activity. Mercury in the third might mean that there's a lot more just communication in general going on in your life. If you do work on any writing projects, this could be a very fruitful first week of the month to get a lot of work done with both Mercury and Venus in that third house. And you might be getting more texts, phone calls, emails from your siblings, maybe even from your neighbors too. And then on December 6th, Mercury enters your fourth house a couple of days before Venus does, which means that your mind will be preoccupied with your home life and your family life. And you might notice that there's an increase in communications with the people that you're related to. The fourth house also represents your past as well. So Mercury in the fourth might mean that you're really ruminating or preoccupied with something in the past which is affecting the present. Now, on December 29th, Mercury is going to go retrograde in your fourth house. And you can even feel it coming on a week before that date as Mercury starts slowing down in the sky. He goes retrograde about 3 times a year, which is way more frequently than Mars, which is once every 2 years. So even though we're going to cover this cycle in a lot more depth in our next month's video, because the cycle is really taking place, those 3 retrograde weeks are going to be taking place more in January. Mercury going retrograde by the end of the month might mean that you do run into some miscommunications with your family. And it can also be a time of, where you're kind of reviewing your housing situation in some way. Maybe you're thinking about moving, maybe you're thinking about changing up your house in some way too. Mercury in retrograde in the 4th house too. Mercury retrogrades in general can also be time of travel issues as well in there too.
Yeah, true. So earlier in the month, we have the first of this month's 2 moons. It's a full moon in Gemini, showing up here in the 9th house, opposite the sun in Sagittarius right here in the 3rd house. And so this crosses that axis that Julia mentioned before. It's an axis of travel and communication. And this moon connects with Mars pretty strongly and really lights up that Mars energy with all of the conflict that you might experience in travel or even in a legal case if you're in one. So we're calling this moon Impulsive Opinions Meet Pushback, and we have made a video about it where you can learn a lot more about it. But suffice it to say that it's a rather combative moon, and that sense of anger and frustration can come out in committed relationships because of Juno being in square to that moon. So I would definitely not recommend traveling under this particular full moon. I wouldn't schedule travel within the 3-day period before, during, and after this full moon, which does peak on December 7th. And it might be better to stay home at that point. And if you can stay out of the courtroom, that might go better for you as well. So then the next milestone this month is that the sun changes signs. It starts the month here at the end of Sagittarius, traveling along through your 3rd house, and then moves on December 1st, 22nd, depending on your time zone, of course. It moves into the 4th house of home and family, domestic life, heritage, and roots. And the sun, wherever it goes, we want to bring the sunlight of our attention, because then things can thrive and flourish in that area. This being the house of home and family, it's a really good time for the 30-day period that the sun is traveling through this house to put your attention on family members, to put your attention on your home itself, and to bring that life force giving energy to it, and to bring it into the light of consciousness. And things can absolutely flourish, and your connections and bonds with family members can flourish too. And that doesn't just, that's not just confined to the family members that you live with. It can also be extended family that you don't live with, or even that lives at some distance. And then as the sun continues along through Capricorn and your 4th house, we have the new moon actually happening pretty quickly right here on December 23rd. And this one we're calling transactional family relationships. And you can always find the moon videos, by the way, on our website, pandoraastrology.com, on the monthly forecast page, or on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, in the monthly news playlist for December. And so new moons have to do with planting seeds. They do signal new beginnings, but the moon is not very comfortable in Capricorn. It's rather crusty, and that appearing in your 4th house of family and happening as it does so close to the holidays. I think it's the Capricorn new moon that happens, in December or January, that really has a lot to do with why sometimes holidays go awry and why they can be so notoriously difficult in families. And so, paying attention to family members and what they need, and how to emotionally soothe them is going to be really important to do during this moon. And if that means engaging in a more transactional level of affection in your family, just to kind of slide through the holidays, that might not be a bad thing to do. That's what we have for you today. Thanks for watching, Libra. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find out more about this month's moons and also Mars retrograde on our website, pandoraastrology.com, in the monthly forecast tab. And on our website, you can book a reading with us or take a class. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye-bye.
Bye.